We're making memories. I told you, we're making memories. All right, it's a hot one today. Just had to chime back in. I love what I do. I really do. Welcome back to Tin Horse Restoration. It's a beautiful day, and I'm on my way to pick up an engine stand. I was on Marketplace this week, and I've been looking for a couple of weeks because there's always lots on there, but the people are asking like $120 and $100, and one guy was looking for 120. And it was a nice stand. It was used once. The typical, I've only used it once. And he said, I'll deliver. So I called him up and I said, I'll give you 100, drop it off. Orangeville was one of the areas that he had said he would deliver to. And he said, I post my prices based on delivery. So I said, have a nice day. Really, I mean, come on. So the ironic part was he's dropped the price down to $100 with delivery. And sorry, I bought this thing to put the camera up here, and it looks like I'm shaking like a milkshake, but I got the stabilizer on, and I checked it, and it seems to be working. Anyway, I'm on my way, pick it up. Guy's name's Robert, seems to be a nice guy. So here's the plan for today. It is the weekend for me, so I'm going down to pick up the stand, gonna come back. I spent the week cutting up the parts car, which you're gonna see today on this video, and I pulled the motor forward about 1.5 feet, so I think it's freed up. So it's going to be a little bit of a physical day. I got to go home after this, drop off the engine stand, pick up the hoist, cherry picker, and head out to the paddock. I didn't call it the farm this time. Head out to the paddock and get that in the back of the truck so I can bring it back to the shop and get her torn apart. And we'll be able to decide whether or not it's going to be a cord that we can build and use in the 72. I'm excited. There's always that level of excitement when you have these opportunities because every time we salvage something from that parts car, the value goes up, and and it justifies the small amount of money that we spent on it. I mean, we're already, I've got $1,000 into that thing, and whatever it costs to go pick it up, and I'm already up just based on the things that I've salvaged so far. So certainly motor and transmission would be the icing on the cake. So I have been tearing apart the front end parts this week, and I've shot some video for that. Hopefully I'll be able to edit that onto this one too, and you'll see it has been quite a busy week at Tin Horse. So anyway, that's where I'm at today. I'm excited. Woke up full of energy this morning, went to bed early last night, and I'm sure I'll be dragging my butt by tomorrow night, but if I can get this all done. But we'll see how far we get, and hopefully everything works out. Anyway, that's my thoughts this morning. We'll keep it short. I hope you've had success on your project this week, and I hope you enjoyed the video. It's a physical week. I got a good sweat going this week, so Anyway, uh, talk to you soon. All right, it's a hot one out here at the paddock today. It's the damn humidity, you know. Anyway, as you can see behind me here, we got the cherry picker on the truck, and we're going to be trying to hoist that into the back here. Oh, all by myself. So that's not going to be easy, and we'll see how things go. Okay, it took some creative finagling, but we're latched onto there. And I made a little bracket. I'm hooked on the tranny back here up to the hoist. And the hoist got the tow rope around it because it's not going to roll on the gravel. And we're going to put the rope around the ball. And then we're just slowly going to give her. And hopefully, now that we're up in the air, that'll slide out of there. Well, after fighting with her, and I do mean fighting with her, I finally got her unbolted. So she's free. So I'm just going to haul the truck forward now. Give me some room to back the truck in here, turn that sideways, and get her on the truck. Oh, she's free. So we're gonna back the truck in and lift this up and just slide the truck underneath it. So I'll be back in a minute. Well, there's our steering box. There's what's left of the car. And there's the motor and tranny in the back of the truck. So I'm headed home. I had to leave the cherry picker here. I'll strip the motor down and just work off the back of the truck tomorrow, and then I'll come back and get the cherry picker. I can't get it in the truck right now by myself, so we'll see what tomorrow has to bring. All right, till then. All right, it's a hot one today. There's our motor. That's our motor, and I'm about to get at her, start taking her apart. All right. We're getting there, and we're on our way to the water pump now. And what I found was, and this always gives you little clues into the history of this motor. You look right in there, right there. That is a broken water pump bolt, and that has been broken a long time. So that's not something I did today. Funny enough, I broke the first adjuster bolt on the alternator, and every single bolt since then has come out with ease. So I just loosened this first one on the water pump here, and it seems to be loose, no problem. So what that tells me is that somebody put a new water pump on this at one time and took full advantage of not fixing that broken stud. So there's one that we're gonna have to drill out, because that's definitely it'll be into the timing cover plate. So we'll see when we get in there. If there's enough of it left over, then we should be able to get it out. Anyway, so far so good. Good news and bad news. And definitely not having a problem getting most of these bolts out. So we'll just keep plugging away, and I'll be back to see you shortly. All right, so we just pulled the bolt out of the harmonic balancer. It wasn't easy. I just put the bar. I have a pipe that slides onto the bar. Got a good wedge on it. Gave it a yank, and it slowly started to turn. Then I used the air gun to pull her out. So here's something you should use, especially if you're working on your own, and especially if you're new to this or you've got a little bit of background, but you don't feel confident on everything. The important thing there was that a left thread or a right thread? So was it righty tighty, lefty loosey, or the other way around? And that's something you could question because it's a harmonic balancer. I know what it is because I've done them tons of times before, but if you haven't done them before, how do you know? Well, I find right now your best friend is ChatGPT because I did a little test and I went on there and I said, if I have an early 70s 302 and I'm removing the harmonic balancer, do I turn the 15 16ths? They're all 15 16ths, by the way. There's something you should know for Fords. But do I turn the 15 16ths bolt left or right? And ChatGPT gave me the answer. So that's the second time working on this car and this motor that I've used ChatGPT to see if it's reliable. Is part of the reason that I've been testing it. So I'm sure there'll come a question that I can't answer, that I don't know the answer to, and I'm going to feel a lot more confident using it because I know that it gives correct answers. Now, I know it's not right all the time, and sometimes it gets confused. So, but, there I'm 2 for 2 so far. So I'm going to keep giving you examples of that and showing you that you're not all alone when you work on this stuff. And don't feel you need to have somebody at your disposal that knows what they're doing. It's great to go online and join a forum and ask questions. But the truth of the matter is, every time I see a question online about, I'm having a problem, my car, it's doing this, there's 14 different answers. Everybody has an opinion. And then you have to sift through those opinions to try and figure out what's going on. I saw a guy today with transmission fluid leaking out of his bell housing, and he had just changed one of the seals. You should have seen the answers, how many different answers he got for that question. It was shocking. So anyway, there's just a little tidbit for you. As long as you know the terminology of what you're looking at, and that's easy to look up too. If you didn't know that was called a harmonic balancer or flywheel, whatever they call it. I call it a harmonic balancer. But, if you didn't know that's what it was called, it's easy to look up a schematic of the motor, that tells you what it is. So, anyway, that's your little tip for today. And trust me, it does work. All right, back at her. All right. I got the cover off. And what we find in here is no rust. There's no rust in the motor itself. So that's a good sign. I'm looking down into the oil pan and I see oil and I don't see a lot of rust. Now what I do see here is some healthy play on the gear, but we don't have any missing teeth. So I'd say this motor probably doesn't have a ton of miles on it. Either that or those gears have been changed. I'm trying to remember if Ford put plastic gears in or if they were metal. I think the plastic was aftermarket, so they've probably been changed once. But so far, that lack of rust is a very positive sign. So I got to keep going. And we'll see where we're at. I'm getting close. All right, I pulled my first plug. Maybe I should have done that first. Yeah, we have a problem. That's a lot of rust. And that tells me we're in trouble in that cylinder. That's front side here on the passenger. So I'll keep going. Up 1 minute, down the next. Okay, there's our second plug on the passenger side. And that's much more promising. So I got 2 to go here. Let's see here if I can. That one doesn't look good either. Okay, let me get the rest of them out. We'll pull those heads, and as long as the intake, that the carb water didn't drain into the carb and fill the intake and find its way down past the valves into the cylinder heads, we should be okay. And there's the answer to our question. The last one, there's water in this motor, unfortunately. Probably found its way in through the carb. So we'll keep going, but I don't have a lot of hope for this now. Anyway. Okay, rocker cover's off on this side. And valve cover, sorry. Anyway, not a lot of oil up here. A little bit, but pretty good. That definitely wasn't a problem. All right, I got the intake off. We've got rusty lifter rods. We got rust in here. I don't know. There's a lot of rust. I'll pull the head, see where we're at. All right. Unfortunately, that valve was open, and there's the result. So, if you look at the wall, it's not really that bad. So, clearly boring this out would save it. So, we don't have a lip. There is no lip whatsoever on here. So I don't know. It's beyond my professional opinion. Not so professional opinion. Okay. It's a new night. It's my second night at this, so I'm tackling the other side. I got the rocker cover off, and she's not looking very good. She's kind of rusty, like a lot rusty. Not as nice as the other side. Again, though, only bad lifters. This is a shame. This looks like this was a really good motor. Anyway, I'm just pulling the exhaust manifold off of this side and see where we're at there. These bolts are coming out fairly easy. I'm not using the gun on this because I'm worried I'd break them, and me personally, I just like to wet them and do it by hand, because if you've done a few of these, you know when it's going to break on you. You get a good idea anyway. Sometimes they surprise you, but most of the time you kind of know when it's going to snap. So I got to pull the plugs too. I don't have the plugs out of this side yet. So give me a few minutes. Let me get some plugs out and stuff, and then I'll come back with the video. Well, it doesn't look like we're any better on this side. Call me crazy. I think we're savable. Okay, here's a close-up of the head. Those last two are the bad ones. This one here it's not that bad. I don't know. I gotta take a wire wheel to them, and I'm gonna figure out where we're at and see how much of that cleans out and spray them. I got rust remover. Let's try some WD-40. Let that soak in for a little while. I gotta get that off the transmission, get it on the hoist, drain that oil pan, then I can flip it over and see where we're at once it's on the engine stand. So I'll be back at you in a minute. And she's out. Pliers got her out. So that's it. That's all the lifters out. None of them rusted. None of them marked up. No rust in any of these. So these are all perfect. And again, it's a shame. Shame we got to this point. Shouldn't have been left out to rot like that. Okay, gonna take a break for a couple minutes. Gonna let this soak. I'll be back at you in a second. All right, it's a new day. We're back at it. I got the tranny back up here. I did some cleaning over here, and I'm gonna show it to you after I get the tranny off of here. But I would like to say that I think that I haven't given up yet. I'm gonna leave it at that. For now, we got some bolts to take out. So let's see if we can get this sucker off. It's gonna be a little tricky. So we'll let these soak overnight, and I believe it makes a difference. You know, there's no way to know for sure, but definitely some of these have come out fairly easy. So I'm thinking we're definitely helping. I am shocked at how easy these have come out of this motor. I like all the bolts, everything but the oil pan. I broke them all so far. all on one side. I got a hell of a lot of work to do there. But that's what happens with those little ones. And they're exposed to the elements the most, plus sitting closest to the ground when she was sitting there for 9 years. So it doesn't surprise me. But these are all coming really easy. So the problem we're gonna have is I got 2 of the torque converter nuts off. I got 2 to go. And we're gonna have to, that motor's gotta turn for that to happen. I don't know how else to do that. They're not coming unbolted until those nuts come apart, so. We're gonna have a go at seeing if we can get this to turn. We don't need it to turn far. So, let me get that set up and I'll be back to you. Okay, so there's one out. There's the other out. That's the flywheel in there. And we have to get the motor to turn over so that we can rotate that around far enough to get the other 2 out. And for that to happen, those pistons got to move. So right now we got the bar on here and she's not ready yet. So she's soaking. She's soaking in rust remover. And which seemed to work on the other side. Cleaned up those cylinder walls pretty good. I'm kind of shocked at how nice they've gotten. Let me show you. There you go in there. You can see this one's kind of carboned up. A bunch of goo, but I'm holding out hope that we're gonna get definitely these lifter holes. There's no rust in any of those, so clearly the water got down the head, but was never pumped through the motor, which is that may save us. But I'm not ready to call this yet. The tranny bolts are all coming out easy. So I guess patience is the next step. I mean, look at that cylinder wall. You would have never thought that those rusted pieces of crap would come up that clean. I don't know if you can see that, but there's no pitting in there. This one's definitely gonna pit a little, but Declan's gonna put the dial bore gauge on there when he gets back, and we're gonna see what we have to play with. If that's a stock motor, then we got 30 thou to play with, and as long as we don't got a crack, I don't see why this motor can't come back to life. So I'll get back to you when we get some movement. Okay, we've been soaking, no luck. So here's what we're gonna do. A lot of you that are car people know what I'm gonna try next. I'm gonna unbolt the trans from the bell housing here. Now, because this is a C4, we have the luxury of doing that. They bolt together. If this was a C6, it'd be all one piece. But the goal here now is to unbolt the trans here, get a pry bar in there, and try and work it back out of the converter. So I got some digging to do to get some of this tar off and crap. And this is one of those things where, you know, if you're working on your own and you're not confident, you didn't know that you could do that. And I'm trying to make these videos for, I mean, let's face it, if you're a hardcore car guy and you've done this your whole life, you know all these things, and you're not watching me to learn anything. You're watching just for the stupidness and the entertainment value. But if you're if you're like me, where you're not as confident about a lot of the things that you do. I knew this, but you say to yourself, well, how would I find that out? Where do I get that? Well, back in the day, we used to use a Chilton manual or a Haynes manual to go through stuff like that and to read it all and figure it out ourselves. And that takes a long time. If you don't know all the ins and outs of your motor and your car and how everything works, and then there's a lot of time that you need to invest there. But I did the little check today. I went to chat GPT, and I just went on the website. It's free. I said, how do I remove a C4 transmission from a 302 when the motor is rusted and seized and won't turn? And it gave me all the options. It gave me the options of trying to, free these up by lubing the cylinder walls and turning with a big bar. And it immediately went to removing the transmission from the bell housing. And so there's your answer. It took me 2 minutes to have a professional answer that I wasn't on a forum waiting for people to respond and then have a bunch of them argue that it's not going to work and that I'm doing it wrong and everything else. I was looking at a guy asked a simple question today. I was on an SN95 forum, and the guy said, he put a picture of his car, nice car, young kid. And he said, I'm having overheating issues. You guys got any tips? And of course, then they start arguing about what temperature is overheating, and some people saying 230 is okay, and other people saying, after 190, and then other people telling him he's got to change the fan, and blah, blah, blah. But in the picture, he had the camber set on his car so that the front tire was, way in at the top and way out at the bottom. And of course, all the smartasses on the website, it was a Facebook page, they start getting into it and saying, dude, stop worrying about your temperature because your tire's about to fall off. And this is the arrogance and the stupidness of online communities. The guy came back on and had to defend the fact that he's a drifter. And that's the way he set his car up to drift. It's no different than a stock car racer who sets up his camber so that he can turn left, right? And the minute he's on a flat pavement and he's driving straight, it looks ridiculous. But, it's done that way for a reason. And, he explained it. And then, of course, the guys that were embarrassed because they didn't know, because they were old farts that, don't even know what drifting is, immediately, had to slam him back because they look like idiots. And that's how online communities work. It's ridiculous that we can't come together and all help each other. And that's the whole point of having a forum, where everyone has a love for the same type of car, and you form a little group and you all help each other. But there's always those a-holes that just, want to pretend that they're smarter than everybody. Don't put yourself through that. If you want to join those groups and stuff, that's a great idea, but that can really wear at your at your self-esteem and everything when you're just learning how to do this and getting your feet wet, or maybe diving a little deeper for the first time. Go to ChatGPT. Okay, it answers all your questions without humiliating you, and it's a lot easier. It really is. And you know what? The answer was perfect. It gave you 3 different options as to what to do in this situation. It was a perfect answer. The third one was to cut holes in the cover here to try and find the nuts. I mean, we've only got 2 nuts left to go. So, we could go up on the other side to see if we could access one of them by cutting a hole, but I don't think we could. But it's an option. It's always it's just giving you options. And sometimes it's a combination of all three that gets you to your end goal. Anyway, we're going to have a go at removing the bell housing. Now, here we go. I know this is how you do it, but I've never done this before. I've never had to remove the bell housing to get the tranny off. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me. I'll have to go slow, and I'll have to make sure that I'm doing it right. But I got a good idea of what's going on here. And, all the other things that I've done on motors and transmissions and that over the years, trannies are definitely my weakest area, from a personal standpoint. I'm not a big engine guy anyway, other than the basics. And that's why I stick to classics, because as soon as we get into fuel injection and crazy, sensors and everything else, I'm just as lost as anybody else. But I know the basics. I'm not scared to tackle something. And I found a really good helper that gives me all the answers I need. And the thing is, I have enough knowledge and I have enough confidence to know that if somebody tells me the right answer, I know what to do. So I'm going to go on a bit of a learning curve here. I know exactly what's needed to take a bell housing off. So I'm going to get at her. And let's see if this turns out to be a victory. It's one forward and one back with this damn motor. Look down here. See that? That's a hole. Now look here. That's a hole. So the bottom hole, I feel pretty confident that probably got put in there when I was pulling the motor out. But that one's been there for a while. And there's no tranny fluid leaking out of this transmission. That has me very, very concerned. I went in to see Carlos this week, and once we get this off, we're gonna pop it in to see him, and I'll see if he wants to do a little interview and talk about it. But Carlo said, Colin, it's got oil in it. If it's got oil in it, I can rebuild it. Well, it doesn't have any oil in it, so we'll see. We'll see. It's like I said, those lifter valleys they're like perfect. There's no rust at all down there. So the lifters all popped out nice and easy. Even the back one there, that definitely had water damage in the cylinder, both back cylinders. They're the worst. So we'll keep forging ahead. We're gonna get there one step at a time. And ChatGPT is your friend. Trust me. Just practice, ask questions. You'll be amazed. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to ask the question. Sometimes I don't ask the question perfectly, and it will ask me questions to define it. So it helps when you know the names of everything. So it's good to have a backup like a Haynes manual or a Chilton manual to look at, and if you need to find out terminology of things that you're not 100% sure of. But on a basic motor like this, it's not hard. All right, I'll be back to you in a little while when I get all these bolts out. See if I can pry this apart. Okay, there you go. The pickle fork got her out. She broke free. 4 bolts. It's kind of easy. I got to lift her up a little bit so I can give her a wiggle. And then I got to pull this one so that we can get the bell housing off. And I should be able to get a wrench in and turn the last 2 nuts on the torque converter. And then we can put our motor on our $40 motor stand. All right, I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I got that one out. You see that one there? And I have that one down in there to go. There you go. There it is there. So, it should come off once I get that out of there. So I'll be back in a sec. Damn pickle fork is your best friend. Well, in the end, We cut it with the trusty Sawzall. I got the wrench in, but just stripped the head. It was really tight. So we just worked the blade down in there, cut through the nut, and she's off. Observations. Look at the teeth. This motor's a shame. It was in really good shape. It's too bad. Too bad it sat for 9 years outside in 3 feet of snow. You can see the cam. Let me see if I can get a light on here. No, can't, but I don't know if you can see down there. The cam is clean. I guess we're at the point where we can slide it out if we wanted to. But I don't see any rust down the cam. So, I guess it's time to bolt her to the stand and turn her over. Let me get the flywheel off. And I'm gonna pull those bolts. And then we'll bolt her up to the engine stand and get it turned over and start pulling that oil pan off or cutting it off, whatever we're gonna do. I'm hoping upside down I can get a little more pressure on those bolts and let them soak for a little while and they don't break off. I don't want to have to drill every single one of them. All right, I'll see you shortly. Okay, guess what? I plowed ahead and I'm getting ready. I bolted that onto the back. Bell housing, flywheel is off, and we're going on the engine stand. And we're draining oil. Now, if you look here, that's oil running out. But there is water in there. There wasn't a lot. Now, I'm thinking that the water that did come out may have just been from me taking the motor apart and it running down into the oil pan. It is possible. There wasn't a lot. I'd say that's 90-95% oil there. Well, we have a 302 on an engine stand. And we have a transmission in the back of the truck ready to go to Mr. T. I'm going to have to clean it up first before I take it over to him. I don't want him charging me to do that. But I don't see any casualties of war. So it looks like we're going to survive this. I feel really good about the tranny. I'm going to pull the oil pan off tomorrow, the tranny pan off tomorrow, and see where we're at with that. So for now, this is gonna go in the garage and upside down for the night with some 3-in-1 oil on the leftover oil pan bolts that are gonna all break tomorrow, and then we'll see where we're at. Yeah. All right, it's a new day. And we got this up on the engine stand, and we're gonna have a go at breaking some more bolts. That's it, because we broke that one and that one and that one and that one. So we might as well break the rest of them so that I gotta drill them all. Anyway, we'll see. I got them soaking. Hopefully, there's the other side. Hopefully, we get this off without breaking any more. So let me see how this goes, and then the crank will be exposed and we'll see what kind of mess we got down the bottom. I'll be back at you in a minute. Okay, there's our main bearing cap, and it's got some decent wear on it. Nothing alarming, but you can see on the load side but our camshaft's looking pretty decent. Let's make sure we're focused in there. Yeah, we're looking pretty good there. So anyway, just wanted to show you that I got the cap off. I'm gonna knock all these pistons out now, and we gave up on we were working on the 302 block and we can't get the pistons out, and so we just said F it. Let's say hello. So the converter is supposed to go in 3 clicks, and I had it in 3 clicks, but for some reason what I thought was 3 clicks wasn't 3 clicks. So this motor is actually going to finally go back in the car. Tiny little inspection cover that I have to put my hand in. Tightened her up, of course, we parked everything. And using the fridge as a training support.